Hello everybody, welcome to Osterossi Bucket. Subscribe to the channel if you have not already. Nearly at 100k subs, so your subscription would be much appreciated. Also drop a like, it only takes 1 second, and it makes a massive difference in how the video performs in the YouTube algorithm. So playoffs day 2 are here, and we have had 2 pretty good games here, although one of them kind of undercut by the absence, of course, of Giannis Antetokounmpo. But, you know, the headliner of these 2 games right now is that, damn, we're already experiencing some pretty major injuries here, potentially. Definitely in the case of Tyler Hero, he broke his hand, so as far as I can tell, that just means you're done. Like, I don't think you can heal that in time. Something went wrong with Giannis, as Reggie Miller said a million times on the broadcast. It did seem as though it was a tailbone issue, and after jumping a million feet in the air into Anthony Davis, Ja Morant fell down rough and on his hand. That could potentially be bad. Right now, there's no like official consensus on this injury nor Giannis's, but obviously we hope that both of them are going to be healthy and that it doesn't affect the results of these playoffs, because I really hate when things like that happen. You know, we'll talk about the Heat game in a second, but in the case of like the Grizzlies-Lakers series, that's a series that I was hoping and expecting, hopefully will still be the case, to be a really good series. If there's no Ja, I don't know if that's going to happen. Obviously, Memphis has its history being able to be pretty good without Ja Morant, but I will say, given how poorly they closed this fourth quarter, I think I would have trusted them more with Ja than without. But with that said, let me talk specifically about first the Heat versus Bucks game. Obviously, Miami takes away the win here, which is not what you want when you're the 1 seed versus the 8 seed on your home floor. But I will say that this game doesn't really make me fear for Milwaukee whatsoever. And it's not even just the obvious factor here, which is that Giannis played 10 minutes, but more so that this was an extreme outlier game in both sides here that allowed for a Miami win that wasn't even by a significant margin. Relative to the standard of what Miami brings every day, this year they have not been a great three-point shooting team while having been that in the past couple of years. Really, the formula for Miami being as good as they have been over the past couple of years has been that three-point shooting, but that part of the formula has been missing. But in this game, they managed to get it back, which makes them look like a pretty damn good playoff team. But again, these are just some outlier shooting numbers. I really don't think that the Miami Heat are going to continue to shoot 60% from 3. To give them a little bit of credit, they were definitely far more selective with their three-point attempts than Milwaukee, which got up 20 more threes and shot them very poorly. But ultimately, the efficiency that they shot was ridiculous. The efficiency from the field overall was ridiculous, as they shot just below 60% from the field. They had to have this outlier shooting performance to come away with a 13-point deficit in a game that was around like 7 to 8 points for a large chunk of it. And the 13 points would suggest this wasn't really that close, but like Milwaukee had a chance to get in it pretty much the whole way. To give Miami their credit, of course, they did a great job of not letting up. That was something that I was afraid of with them, as I was like, okay, they're doing this great stuff early, but are they going to be able to keep their foot on the gas? They absolutely did. Really, what helped them late is that Bam Adebayo started to come alive. He wasn't really as good in like the first quarter and a half-ish of this game, but started to hit some of his mid-range shots, started to get a couple of layups on Brook Lopez. Of course, he historically does not play very well against Brook Lopez, so I think that is also something that's kind of an outlier here. Getting a really efficient 22 points from Bam Adebayo with as many jump shots as he hit. I just don't know about that. Not trying to shit all over Miami here, but like, this was the best case scenario and you gotta win, which is great, but how often are you going to get that best case scenario? Of course, if Giannis ends up not playing for this series, then I would definitely give Miami a strong chance to win this one. Between these 2 teams, which is better, the Bucks without Giannis or the Heat? Crazy enough how good the Bucks are that I almost think about them, but I probably go with the Miami Heat, especially if they're going to be decent from 3. Speaking of outliers, also Kevin Love had 18 points. 4 for 7 from 3. Like, this is just not something that you can really rely on. And in the case of Milwaukee, outside of Chris Middleton, no one was really scoring the ball all that well. Well, Bobby Portis was. I forgot about him. he was pretty fantastic in this game. But like, Drew Holiday had 16 points on 18 shots. It's just not ideal. He did have 16 assists and played great defense. I'm not trying to say he had a bad performance, but no one was really having an easy time scoring, and having, I don't know, one of the most physically dominant players the game has ever seen might have made a little bit of a difference there. I do want to say, in the case of Jimmy Butler, I'm starting to realize that the difference between Jimmy Butler just having a so-so game and then having a game like he did today where he had 35, 11, 5 rebounds, and 3 steals. Really, the difference is whether or not his mid-range jumper is going in. Like, every game Jimmy Butler is going to drive, every game Jimmy Butler is going to get to the free throw line. Is every game Jimmy Butler going to hit 5 to like 8 mid-range shots? Not really, but he did it today. And that's what really separates it, because if you drop on him, he's going to be able to hit that mid-range shot if he's really feeling it. And if you step up on him, well, he's also going to run into you and just get to the free throw line. So it makes him particularly difficult to defend, more so than he already normally is. But yeah, I don't worry for Milwaukee if Giannis is going to be back. That's a different story, of course, if he's not. But I don't think this is a sign of an upset coming. I think this was, if anything, made me feel even better about Milwaukee again if Giannis is there. But hey, still, you won a game. I mean, the Bulls won a game on the Bucks last year. It happens, and they proceeded to get smacked. I don't think it's... I hope Miami fans are not overreacting too much to that one, because they will probably ultimately be disappointed, but first leave very angry comments in the reply to this video. But anyways, let's talk about the more interesting game here, at least in my opinion, the Lakers and the Grizzlies. The ending box score would, again, just like the Heat-Bucks game, suggests that this was a bigger blowout than it was. It wasn't really a blowout at all, really, until like the last 2 minutes of the game. Like, it really felt like the Lakers just went on, I believe they went on like a 15-0 run in the last like 3 or 4 minutes of the game, which is, you know, an ideal time to do something like that. They really just were a little bit ahead of the Grizzlies for a large majority of this game. Ja Morant gets injured, and they're kind of still trading baskets, and then eventually, all of a sudden, Austin Reeves is making every shot that he can. I believe he went 5 for 5 in the fourth quarter. I almost titled this video about Austin Reeves, but I feel like the injury thing is probably more noteworthy. And looking at the performances, really great stuff across the board. LeBron James had a relatively quiet near triple-double, which is a hilarious statement, but also true. Anthony Davis was pretty damn fantastic in this one. He had 7 blocks. I didn't even realize that. I knew he had a lot, but 7, Jesus Christ. I would have guessed 5. Austin Reeves, 23 points, like I mentioned. D'Angelo Russell, he was touch or go, but mostly positive in this one. He had some moments where he looked rough, especially early. I believe he started off like 2 for 8, but after that happened, he was pretty fine from there. Rui Hachimura was easily the most outlier performance. 29 points on 11 for 14 shooting, 5 for 6 from 3. It was very clear that Memphis's game plan was to leave him open, and at a certain point, it became clear that game plan was not going to work, and yet they still kept doing it. Definitely questionable, the lack of adjustments that happened in that one. But the thing about this Lakers team, and I was talking with Rudy, who's a Memphis Grizzlies fan, while we're watching this game. The thing about the Lakers is that even if LeBron and AD don't have crazy performances, like ultimately they combined for 43 points, which isn't off the charts for what they are capable of doing by any stretch. But the Lakers also have an underrated amount of guys who can just create their own shot and score the damn basketball, whether it is off of it being assisted to them or them creating off of the dribble. Rui Hachimura primarily dominated on catch and shoot threes, but he also hit a couple of pull-ups, a post fadeaway, things like that. D'Angelo Russell obviously creates a lot of his own shots, and Austin Reeves primarily was creating his own shots in the dominant fourth quarter that he had. And the depth of shot creating ability that they have, LeBron and AD can have an okay game, and it just takes 1, 2, or maybe 3 of them stepping up, but really this is just 2 in like an okay performance from D'Lo, and they can still win the damn game. Ideally, I will say defensively, they should be a little bit better than they were, because again, given Ja, and there's really not that many people that can create shots on this team, especially given that Desmond Bane was kind of touch or go in this one. He finished 6 for 18. He started off real nice and didn't quite finish very well. I will say Jaren Jackson, amazing game, and frankly, I have undervalued the degree in which he has progressed as a post player and overall shot creator. He is quite good. Ja Morant was pretty fantastic in the time that he did play. He was hitting his jump shots, went 2 for 3 from 3, hit a lot of mid-range pull-ups in the pick and roll. I still like Memphis's chances. Same caveat for the Heat-Bucks series, I'll say, of course, if Ja Morant is there. But the Lakers also looked like a damn good contender. Like, they looked like a team that knew what it had to do, was ready to take care of business, and did so. If there was any criticism I would throw the Lakers' way, I do think that LeBron needs to be 5% more aggressive. Like I said, he had 21, 11, and 9 in this game. Like, he didn't play bad, but there were moments where I was like, oh yeah, LeBron's on the floor. Like, typically speaking, from the history we know with LeBron, it's not like surprising. You know LeBron's on the fucking floor because he's terrorizing your team 24/7. But yeah, he was happy to take a backseat, and obviously they didn't need him to step up necessarily in this one, but the way he was playing also suggested that if they did, I don't know if he really had it in him. That's the only thing I'd be concerned about. Once again, Dillon Brooks, huge negative 18 overall, 2 for 9 from 3, 5 for 13 from the field. I understand the defense that he brings to the table, but I straight up think Dillon Brooks is just so much of a negative offensively that it negates a lot of the value that he brings to the table. Also worth mentioning, I really thought that the rebounding battle would be a huge difference maker between these two teams, and yeah, that's kind of exactly what it was. The Lakers finished with 45 rebounds to Memphis's 34, and they get 10 offensive rebounds to Memphis's 6. Frankly, though, I thought the deficit would be more after the first quarter. It really felt like the rebounds were piling on and on and on, initially speaking, because the Lakers came out really strong. Ended up, I'd say Memphis figured out as they were going along to stop leaking out and rather have their guards and wings collapse to get the rebound just to help out the bigs. Because Jaren's not a strong rebounder. Xavier Tillman's fine at that, but he's kind of small. I can't pronounce the name of their backup big who can shoot the ball, but he's not great in that area either. So just having rebounding become more of a team effort is the best way to negate the clear size advantage that the Lakers have. But yeah, if you're a Lakers fan, you should feel quite good about where your team is right now. But I'd say if you're a Memphis fan, you can also take the approach of, like, if Ja was there, maybe this game goes differently. It still felt like the Lakers were going to win to me, but that really solidified it. And if you want to lie to yourself, hey, that's the exact shit I would do if I was in your shoes, so go for it. Either way, I think, yeah, I loved both of these games for the most part, but this game especially. The playoffs are awesome, man. Check in for part 2 of this when I talk about the Suns-Clippers game and whatever the other game is, because I can't remember right now. But that is it. Shout out to Rudy for editing the video, and goodbye.